Now the last thing that I want to look at in this VoiceThread is how to comment on a video, because there's some really powerful things you can do there. I'm going to click on this postcard view in the bottom right corner. This shows me all of the slides in my VoiceThread, and then I'm going to click on the slide that I want to jump to. Now this is a video file, and we'll see that when I play it, it's just a really simple video. It's only about 4 seconds long, and there's no audio to it. But when you introduce a video to VoiceThread, there's actually quite a bit of interaction that you can do beyond just annotating on the screen. I'm going to start by again clicking my plus button to record a new comment, and I'll select the microphone. I'll come down and I'll grab a color. And just like normal, I can annotate on this slide and I can point out different things to my students. But in addition, I can manipulate the video. So I might start it playing by using the timeline down at the bottom, and I can even scrub to different positions within the video. So I might come to a different point and then point out something else over here. And I could scrub backward in the video and point out something else. So you can always take your audience directly to where you want them to be in the video. Then again, when you're all done, you just stop recording, you can save, and there's your new comment. It just processes right away. Then just like before, I'm going to delete it because I don't actually need to save that. That was just a sample comment. And now that comment is no longer there. Now before we move on, I'd like to pause here and see if anybody has any questions about what we've seen so far. You can feel free to unmute and speak up, or if you'd prefer to use the chat, you can put your questions there. And at the same time, I'm going to go through and see the questions that have already been put in the chat.
Okay, I have a question. I'm Marilena.
Hi.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, I hear you.
Hi. Okay, I'm a language teacher, and I was thinking that if I want to make a PDF of small writings of let's say, of students, can I use this for use the pencils, the colored pencils, for instance, and underline small grammar mistakes and make comments on this, on the VoiceThread, and then, for instance, request them to give me solutions for that?
Yes, absolutely. Here's an example of a slide that has a lot of text on it. And if I am the instructor, so in this case I'm you, I would record my comment and pick a color and tell my students, here's a little mistake right here. Tell me what you would do differently to correct that mistake. You can point to it with arrows, you can circle it, whatever you prefer to do. And I'll go ahead and just cancel that. But then your student can also come to this very same VoiceThread, click on the plus, and record a comment in response to you. And then there is where the student can give you her solution to the problem you brought up.
Excellent. So, yeah, you were giving me an excellent tool that I was trying to figure out how I could use Moodle to do this grammar type of exercise where everybody could participate. Thank you.
Definitely, that's a great way to go.
Okay.
All right, let me take a look at the chat here because we have a few questions. We have one question: can participants add a central video, or does the instructor need to give them editing privileges? That's a great question. If you are the person who created the video, or created the VoiceThread, then you can add as much central media as you'd like here. But by default, your students are not going to be able to. If you want them to contribute to your VoiceThread, you do have to give them edit level access. And if you don't want to do that, you could also have your students create their own VoiceThreads. So students can also be the instigators of a conversation, and they could then share it with you and with their classmates, and they could upload their slides in that way. That's a great question about phone comments too. There is no longer a cost associated with phone commenting. So you don't need to worry about that at all. The only limitation is that phone comments can only be 10 minutes long. So you probably want your students to keep that in mind if they have a lot to say, but they will not be charged for the phone commenting. We have a question about blocking comments. You can turn on comment moderation, and we'll take a look at how to turn that on when we create a VoiceThread. But when comment moderation is on, that means you're the only person who can see the comments on the VoiceThread until you choose to reveal them to everybody else. So that's one way to keep tabs on the conversation. It's also a really good tool for assessment purposes. If you don't want students to see one another's answers to an assessment question, you just turn on the comment moderation. But if you don't want to allow commenting at all, you just want to say students can never click on this plus button in order to record, you can do that. You can choose to just give them viewing access, but not commenting access. And we'll take a look at how to do that when we talk about sharing. We have another question about how to set up an assignment. You can set up the assignment in either of these ways, Callie. You can create one slide per student and have the students all talk on their own individual slides. You could create one slide and have all students comment on that one. You can break it up differently. You might have groups where you say some students comment on the first slide, others comment on the next. The way that you organize the VoiceThread is really just whatever works best for your course. But you can use any of those examples that you brought up. We have a question about students with disabilities, and that's a really good one. First, there are all of these different commenting methods, and when you're talking about making comments accessible to students, what we would recommend is making sure that any student in your course who needs a written comment or a transcript of a comment has access to that. What you would do is record your first comment normally. So I would go use my microphone, record just as I normally would, say everything I have to say, and stop it and save it. And then once I have done that, I would come in and click on the text comment option, and this is where you can write out a transcript. So if you were speaking into, for example, a dictation program, and you can just paste in what that recorded for you, or you can write it out. You can type out the written version of what you had just said. Either way, that's going to be the best way to make your comments accessible to your students. In addition, if you have a video slide, like this one here is a video as the central media, you can actually add closed captions. So up here in the top right corner, you see there's a closed caption button where you can add captions, and you can simply upload one of your caption files. These are all the different files that are accepted, and you would need to have that file created in advance. But there are a lot of programs that will create these for you. If you're at all familiar with captioning, you probably know how to make one of these. And then you can simply upload it to the VoiceThread. And again, that is for when you have video here as the central portion. In addition, we have VoiceThread Universal. And that's for students who are not able to see. In fact, let me open up another browser tab and we'll just take a look at that really quick. They can set their accounts to default to this version, and it's basically all the same content, but it's presented in such a way that there's no extraneous visual information. And for that reason, it's really good for screen readers. So a student can come here, just get some very basic information, and then they could go straight to their VoiceThreads. And here are all their filters. So I could say, I want to see the ones that are owned by me. Again, these are all the same VoiceThreads that we saw previously, but they're laid out in such a way that they are consumable by screen readers. So I can keep clicking on until I get to the slide that I want to see, and I can see all of the comments on it if there are any down below.